with us. Friends, it's good to be with you this morning. This time with you has become so important to me these days, because I don't know about you, but my morning routine could use a little life and light these days. I wake up in the morning and say hey to the family, I pet the dog, and then I roll over and grab my phone just to see what's transpired at night while I've been asleep, which is such a bad way to start the day. Because, hypothetically, it could be the state of our nation, the state of our world, the state of our state, or a generational basketball star could have been traded overnight for a bag of potatoes. All hypothetical, of course. That would never happen. But those first few moments of my day, in the dark of the morning, doom scrolling, as they say, can feel overwhelming and isolating. And I think, what can I do? Anyone else been there before? Yeah. Hope for transformation in those moments can be hard because it feels like there isn't any one thing that we can do about a specific issue, no matter how many bring back Luca signs I make and hold up as I go. But that's not how transformation works, is it? It's not about me in the dark trying to do all the things. It's about all of us doing the things we can in the ways we can for as long as we can together. It's about recognizing that even in the darkness, we're not alone in trying to shine the light, that the light is with us, especially there. Darkness sometimes has this way of making us feel like we're alone in this world. It's like being at a concert. There's this moment where the lights go down, and for a moment you forget that there are thousands of people around you. And then a preteen screams, "Taylor!" And all the wristbands light up, and you remember, okay, I am not alone in this. But darkness can make us feel like the light's gone out when really we're just looking in the wrong direction. We're looking at our hands and focusing on what we don't have. We're looking at our circumstances to see what's missing. And we forget to open up our gaze and look around us and see that even in the night, there are sparks all around us. As our poem said, in every corner, someone's planting seeds. Someone is teaching our children to dream in full color. Someone is standing up when the easy thing would be to sit down. And just a few lights together make a constellation. And a constellation can guide us home. The great Anne Lamott says it this way: hope begins in the dark. That stubborn hope that if you just show up and try to do the right thing, the dawn will come. You wait and you watch and you work. You don't give up. You claim tenacious hope. And in time, the sun begins to rise and the wristbands light up and you realize we're not alone. In this series, we're talking about the transformation that can happen when we live generously, when we open our hearts and our hands to God and to each other. And what generous living does in so many ways is helps us remember that we're not alone. It connects us to something bigger than ourselves. When we give, when we serve, when we open our hearts and hands to others, we discover that the light hasn't gone out at all. It's been burning all around us in countless acts of kindness and courage. And we are invited, wherever we are, with whatever we have, to be a part of that, to join and to shine. And when we do, we become part of those constellations in the dark sky that can lead us on and tell stories of hope. Now, if you're like me, it can be hard to think of ourselves as like light. Right? Being light is for the great people, the Dorothy Day or Gandhi or Glinda the Good Witch, right? And we're just ordinary folks trying to make it through our to-do list before the sun goes down, or at least too far after the sun goes down. How can we be light? But Jesus said exactly that to folks just like us in the midst of their own complex times. Back then, in those days, when they doom scrolled, they literally had a scroll that they had to goes. I'm so sorry. It was very late at night when I was writing my sermon. I apologize for that. But back then, picture the scene. Jesus was on a hillside, surrounded by this wonderfully diverse crowd of folks. There was young and old. There were all genders and backgrounds, cat people and dog people, all together listening to Jesus. They were diverse, but they all came because they saw in Jesus this spark of light and life. Some came seeking answers. Some came carrying doubts. Some were just there because they thought there might be a potluck afterwards. But all of them found there welcome and love exactly where they were, and in that presence, light radiated. So there they were, dealing with their own overwhelming stuff: Roman occupation, social upheaval, religious conflict, trying to figure out how to keep hope alive while paying Zacchaeus, the tax collector. And in the midst of all of that, Jesus looks out at this crowd and says something extraordinary to them. He says, "You are the light of the world." There's this murmur. Folks are looking around, confused. Light of the world was like God. And no one felt particularly illuminated or goddish. But Jesus wasn't talking about some distant ideal. He was talking to them, to real people like you and to me, giving us a calling to something more, to share light right where we are, to throw sunshine and not shade as we go through our lives, which is kind of mind-boggling, and it seems bigger than us, and it is. We'll get to that. But Jesus kind of leaves them hanging in that and carries on with another metaphor. He just keeps going. He says, "You're the light of the world. You are a city built on a hill that cannot be hidden." And when he says this really blows their mind, because they're thinking about Jerusalem, this city literally on a hill with white limestone walls, and at night they would ring them with torches, and the city would shine out like this beacon that cannot be hidden. But Jerusalem for them was special for another reason. In their culture, it was what Celtic Christians would come to call a thin place, a space where the veil between divinity and humanity was thin, where God's presence was especially felt, they believed. And Jesus was saying that to this crowd, that you're like that we too are thin places, spaces where the divine and the human intersect. Because here's the beautiful truth. Each of us is made in the image of God, with divinity in our souls and eternity on our hearts. We don't have to generate the light. God is growing it in us and calls us just to let it shine through who we are and where we are. And when we live openly, with open hands and generous spirits, we live at that thin intersection of who we are and who God is. And we shine in a way that cannot be hidden. We become an intersection between the light of God and the life of us. That thin place. Those moments of thinness can happen everywhere. We were stacking cans at the food pantry, and all of a sudden you realize you're a part of sacred work. You're listening to someone's story, and there's this spark of sacred connection. You're supporting a cause, and there's this feeling of unexpected joy and light in the midst of the night. Every time we open ourselves generously, we become a bridge between what is and what will be. Heaven and earth, sparks of light amidst real life. Living from that intersection is just as simple and profound as saying, "Okay, God, who I am, what I have, where I've been, what I've learned, I may not know exactly how it all fits together, but let it be used for good. Let me open my hands, my heart, my life, my experiences, and just be generous with them and be a part of what you're doing in the world, in small ways and big. Let me be a part of this great work of love and life and justice and joy and peace. And when we do, our lives, wherever they are, become an intersection between the light of God and the life of us. And you may not see it, friends, but those around you do. It shines, and it lights the way through the night. I see that happening here so often. One place I saw that was just the other day. I went to pray at the Dallas County Commissioner's Court, and one of the commissioner's chief of staff whispered something before I got up to pray that stopped me in my tracks. She said, "We love your sign." And she said, this is what she said. She said, "When I'm driving past it on my way to work, I think, okay, I can do this. It's a light in the dark." She said the word light, and I was like, I'm preaching on that. I'm going to remember that, actually. That is what happens, friends. Our light, when we stand at that intersection and open ourselves and offer ourselves to what God is doing in this world, in challenging times especially, our light spreads in ways that we may never know about. Someone drives past our church and finds courage for the day. A family sees our rainbow all means all sign and realizes that there are churches where they will be fully welcomed. A neighbor notices our immigration services and remembers that goodness still stands. Every act of generous welcome, every stand for justice, every message of hope becomes this beacon that shines, that we are creating together. You are the light of the world. Mind-boggling. But it's not just here, it's wherever you are as well. When we leave this place today, we'll head out across the city and the Metroplex, and we'll be called to be light in those places as well too. In our day jobs, in our neighborhoods, in our families. Jesus says, be the light there too. And he emphasizes this idea with another metaphor. Jesus is mixing all of these metaphors. His English teacher would be very upset with him. Luckily, Jesus wasn't speaking English, so he's off the hook on that. So he says this. He says, think of a lamp. It's like a lamp. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a bushel basket, but they put it on a lampstand, so it gives light to all in the house. And here's what he's trying to say. Back then, they might have only one oil lamp for the whole room. And so it would be very important to find just the right place to put it and to lift it up high so that it gives light to everyone. And it's the same way for you and for me. It may not seem it, but right now, right where you are in life, is a place that you are lifted up to shine. Your circumstances, your location, your particular place in life, it may seem limited or liminal, but that's your lampstand. Maybe your classroom is exactly where light needs to shine. Maybe you're in a workplace where people are struggling to find hope and to find each other, and that's your room to illuminate. Maybe you're retired with time to volunteer, or you're a student with fresh energy and ideas. Maybe you're someone with resources to share. Whatever your situation, you are in a strategic position to shine light. And when we open our hands to that purpose, and we open ourselves generously to that purpose, I don't know how it all works, but it seems like there's always this opportunity that emerges, this spark of creativity, this moment where we get a chance to let our story and our experience help others with theirs, to let your journey encourage those around you, to use your resources to transform your passion and experience and wisdom to bring life and light to our world, where your life and love's light intersect. So how do we do that? Well, first thing is just to look at yourself. Pay attention to your own light. What talents do you have in your bushel basket? What things do you have to offer? Maybe it's time to let them shine generously. Start small. Find a coworker to have a conversation with over lunch. Volunteer once a month for something that moves your heart. Join a ministry team here. Take the next step in generosity here or in a place that moves your heart. Remember, it's not about doing it all right, but about all of us shining right where we are with whatever we have. And the second thing is this: look up from your hands and what might be missing and look around for others' light and help it shine. As Richard Rohr reminds us, we're all just walking each other home. The light is not in one person nor in any specific place or thing, but the light is everywhere. It's in the painful and happy alike, in the oppressed and the free, in the sacred and the secular. Who in your life do you need to notice, to give encouragement to shine? How can you help create space for someone else's gifts to grow? Here in this church, your generosity does just that. It creates a community, opportunities, belonging, and transformation, where others can find light and we can too, and together we can shine it out in our world. And I'm telling you, friends, it lights up the night sky. And so our calling is simply to commit to do just that, to commit to shine together. We combine our resources, our passion, our purpose. We create something brighter and bigger than any of us could manage on our own. Because this is what we know: we were never meant to carry this light alone. It's the light in me, meeting the light in you, multiplied times the infinite power of the light of life that shines in the darkness and cannot be overcome. And in that sacred spark, we live into our purpose, to be that constellation of souls, each star essential, and all of us together burning bright enough to light the way home together. See, when Jesus said, "You are the light of the world," that Greek "you" was actually plural. It's collective. You all are the light in the world. Jesus might have said, "Y'all are the lights of the world." So together, y'all, let your light shine. That's what happens for me every morning. I may start my day in the dark, feeling alone, but then I get up and I show up here and I look, and John Taylor from our building management team's coming off the roof from fixing a leak. Peg Davis from Leadership Board is helping us make a safety plan for migrants in our sanctuaries. Pastor Kathy is gathering a team together to support public school teachers. Judy Swope is calling someone at home who's sick. Pastor Jenny's planning an event to help our youth navigate anxious times. Our children's team, Jess and Rebecca, are helping kids find joy and belonging. Aaron is capturing the story. Terry's finding the song that brings it all together. And I see you in all of the ways that you are shining here and in all of the places you are. And suddenly, I don't feel surrounded by darkness. I see a world full of lights in the night, and it leads me on. Arapahoe, this is our calling, especially in these days, to be a place where light and love shines brightly, where generosity of spirit flows freely, where everyone's light has a place to shine, and we shine in all of the places we are. Not because we're brilliant, but because we're committed to using what we have and who we are and the opportunities that have been given to us and letting God light shine through us in all we do and in all we are for all the people. Every act of generosity, every gesture of love, every moment of courage, when we choose to speak up instead of stepping back, these aren't just random acts of kindness. They are sparks of light illuminating our world. Together, we shine bright enough to light the way home for each other and for all who seek refuge in the love of God. Together, there's enough light to push back any darkness. And together, there's enough light in this community to light up our world. May this be our purpose. May this be our joy. May this be our calling together. May we love extravagantly. May we live generously. And may we shine brightly now and always for the transformation of the world. Amen.